Duke's offense has an even higher efficiency rating than their defense. And they're an outstanding defensive team. They're number 2 in offense. Yeah, you're number 2 to Auburn in efficiency in offense. You're 4th in defense. And what I think is the difference for this team is just their feel on that end of the floor. Because Cooper Flagg is as elite a defensive freshman that we've seen in college basketball in years. And then you package that together with 17 points, with 14 rebounds, with a couple of assists, but 2 steals, 2 blocks. The touch points are unlimited. And when you see him raise the confidence level of everybody else around him, it is why I believe Cooper Flagg will join Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant and become the 4th freshman to win National Player of the Year because he does so much on both ends of the floor. You're right. It felt like Virginia could compete in this game because they had come in, they had scored 70 plus in 5 straight games. In the first 8 minutes of the second half, Duke held Virginia to 6 points. And yes, Virginia is a team that can struggle offensively and has, but I just think that that when you look at this Duke team, and Hope Malik Brown, that was tough to hear that he suffered an injury here after the game. That's obviously tough news for them because Malik, I think, means something to that equation. But I think right now, this team, as the years gone on, their identity has grown. And Flagg, but also Con Knipple, when he's making shots like he was throughout the night, and then you throw in the luxury of having an Isaiah Evans come off the bench and give them that burst from 3. They were 6 of 11 from 3 to start the game. If they start a game that way against virtually 95% of the teams in the country and their defense is engaged, they're going to be in San Antonio in April.
Yeah, CJ, I know that you look at sort of the zoom out, the aerial view of Virginia basketball this year, especially with how they started the season. But I will say, I'll give them this. The last 3 weeks, Virginia basketball was 5th in the ACC in efficiency. Now, in 2025, what does that mean, right? Like, not much probably. But I do think it makes that Duke – because this was out of hand, by the beginning of the second half, like John mentioned. And Duke just, you wondered, right? Young team, got Illinois coming up on Saturday in that random non-conference game, which you could say, all right, are they going to be looking ahead to this with a stinky Virginia team? And, it was just businesslike from Duke.
Yeah, but they don't have too much to look forward to. Like, they've got to be able to lock in and just perform in these games, and they have for the most part. And I think I made the joke off air that like another tough night in the WCC, but Duke is basically Gonzaga this year. Like, just get to the end, try to stay healthy. Obviously, the Malik Brown injury, like if that's serious at all in his shoulder, that's concerning. But they've just got to try to get to the end and continue to improve. I think getting guys like Isaiah Evans, like good substantial minutes, and him building his confidence is important because that could win you a game in the NCAA tournament. Like he basically was a big reason why they beat Auburn, and man, he just throws in. They're like darts. He doesn't have a lot of arc on that thing, but he throws in some darts, and when he gets hot, he's about as streaky. Like his streaks are pretty scary. Because he can really throw them in a lot really quickly. So, I think it's important that they're getting guys like that experience and confidence because they're going to be even more dangerous in March. And that's the one luxury playing in the ACC in a league like this is you can get guys like that maybe more minutes than you would get if you're in rock fights.
Yeah, John, you mentioned it, man. Like I thought Cooper Flagg had the quietest 17 and 14 game in college basketball this year. Like the effortlessness of it is to me, it's just like he was born for this. I think John's muted.
Cooper Flagg is generational. He's generational. Like let's clear out here because Cooper Flagg is a one of a kind prospect. And anybody who thinks otherwise, I got news for you. You're wrong. Because this kid is just, he has such an amazing feel for the game. And the maturation of him, getting a chance to watch him down at Peach Jam, where he commanded those games and was so far ahead of anybody in his age group, was playing up a level and was above them. And the amount of attention, the amount of spotlight that this kid is getting, to be a small town kid from Maine, it's a dream for, he's with New Balance. It's a dream for them. It's a dream for anybody that's thinking about draft night endorsements, because he's the American story. He's the best basketball player to ever come out of the state of Maine. He goes to Duke with a young coach in Jon Scheyer. And CJ, I think you're as good as any storyteller in our sport, so you can get more reflective on this here once I talk about it more. But like, Jon Scheyer here now is trying to show the world that he can deliver the titles, the rings, the Duke standard. Those are the expectations. And when he takes over for Mike Krzyzewski, the thought is, well, can he live up to the expectations? Can he be that guy? This is his best shot here thus far. Last year, he made the Elite Eight, and we know that was sour with him. To not be able to win that game over NC State was a really tough point, I'm sure, for him, because he's so competitively wired. But you've got the Boozers coming in next year. Everything's aligned. Now it's just about making the run. And I get the point about how the ACC is weak, and it's been a weak year in that league. But there is a part of me that says this group is so driven and so sound defensively. They're engaged on that end of the floor. And I think Tyrese Proctor, look, he was quieter tonight, but he has been on a roll for them. The stars are aligning for them to be totally refreshed, totally ready. They know what a challenge looks like because they played a gauntlet of a non-con schedule, went out to Arizona and won. Arizona's a different team now, but went out there and won. And they were in late game situations against a Kansas, against a Kentucky. They've learned from those. And to me, this is when you're thinking about, CJ Moore, March storylines, Cooper Flagg is going to generate the highest amount of buzz television ratings-wise, eyeballs-wise, because people want to see if the number one pick in the draft with this young Duke head coach, with the brand that is Duke, a brand that casual fans love to hate, if they can rise above all and get the championship. And thus far, on that roadmap, I think everything's gone fairly according to plan. CJ, what say you about this story?
Yeah, I think he's bucked the trend of I don't hate, but usually I'm against in the family hires because they don't a lot of times work out. Like when you're North Carolina, when you're Duke, when you're Kansas, when you're Indiana, go hire the best coach you can find. Don't limit yourself to a certain number of coaches that only have ties to your program. But Jon Scheyer is the one case recently that has really, really worked out. And I think he's done a great job of continuing to recruit at the level K has recruited at and connecting with these young guys. And I think he's grown this year. When you saw some of the things that the way they were playing offensively early on and the way they're playing now, I think the ball hasn't been quite as sticky. These guys are realizing that they can play off of each other. You said Cooper, with such a kind of quiet 17 tonight, he realizes that he can pick and choose his spots to really take over. And he has that gear when he has to. Mm-hmm. But I think he's really matured as the season has progressed in knowing where to pick his spots, knowing when to gamble on defense. He still sometimes will maybe make a few gambles that he shouldn't, but he is pretty sound. And, he has really progressed as the years gone along. They will be under some pressure to get to a Final Four because Scheyer hasn't been there yet. They have such a talented team, and the tournament doesn't always cooperate. Like I've